Hi, welcome to Flashpoint on this day after Independence Day as we marked America's 244th birthday. And it is one of the strangest American birthdays in memory, with a pandemic wreaking havoc and unrest and anger that has many debating so much American history and toppling statues and narratives alike. But let's take a moment and remember July 5th, 1776. Yes, just the day before, the colonies had declared their independence, but it was hardly smooth sailing from there. A British armada was on its way to bolster the King's forces, and for the fledgling American side, the rest of that year went quite badly. So let's see in the celebratory fireworks of July 4th, the struggle of July 5th. Things aren't easy right now, but the truth is they never have been. And getting through tough times is about as American as it gets. We are in quite a fight with the struggle of the coronavirus. Nationally, the numbers were headed in the wrong direction all week, but plans to emerge from hibernation keep coming together in starts and fits, including plans for the Michigan school year. The idea of a school year that looks like April and May for school kids is too horrible for a lot of students and parents to imagine. The desire is there, but is the logic? This morning, we're going to talk with a group of teachers about whether the classroom is where they want to be next month. But up first, the push to change Michigan's no-fault auto insurance system finally broke through the wall, and you can change your insurance now if you want to. But should you want to? How to decide what's right for you, first today on Flashpoint. So, of course, you'd like to lower your car insurance payment. That means lowering the amount of coverage you carry. You can now do that in Michigan, but do you want to? What do you need to think about in making that calculus? Anita Fox is the director of Michigan's Department of Insurance and Financial Services. Anita, this is a really complicated thing that I think we've already figured out that there is not one answer for everybody on how to approach this.
I would say that's true. There isn't one answer, but I'm not so sure that it has to be so complicated. You know, we make decisions about our insurance all the time. You know, what kind of health plan do you want? Do you want the bronze, the gold?
Yeah.
Do you want a higher deductible? Do you want replacement costs on your house? So we just now have some of those choices in No Fault Now. And we have at the Department of Insurance and Financial Services a lot of resources. We have a dedicated website at michigan.gov/auto insurance that can walk you through your choices so that you can take advantage of the savings under the new law.
Well, what this largely means for people, I think, is mostly understanding their own health care that they carry to maybe a level that they haven't understood it before.
Yes, that's part of it. So basically, one of the major things people have to decide is what limit of medical coverage for an auto accident do they want under their auto policy? So we've never had to make this decision before because for the last 40 years, Michigan has had the highest benefits in the nation.
Yep.
Unlimited lifetime medical benefits and related rehabilitation benefits if you're catastrophically injured in an accident. And those are great benefits, best in the country. But they're also very expensive. And we were reaching the very top of how expensive auto insurance was for all the states in the union as well. And so it's great coverage, but only if you can afford it. And we found a disproportionate number of drivers were driving uninsured.
Yeah.
So what the new law does is says, look, if you still want to keep that be as the only state in the country where you can get that unlimited lifetime medical, you can keep that. But if that's too expensive or doesn't meet your insurance needs for what your family needs for medical costs, the first choice you can make is, do I really need unlimited lifetime benefits? I could go down to $500,000 per person per accident, $250,000 per person per accident, or if I'm on Medicaid, I can go down to $50,000 per person per accident. And that's where your health care coverage comes into some kind of more refined choices.
We're at a time that we're in the middle of a pandemic, though, where we've got a lot of people whose employment situation is really iffy right now. I'm wondering how much this is complicating the decision making that people are having to make.
Well, certainly those decisions are kind of don't depend as much on your health care. Certainly, if you think there's a chance you'll have more than $250,000 or $500,000 of medical costs associated with an accident, which is rare, but not impossible. And we've seen many tragic cases, then you might want to think about your health insurance. Now, if you lose your job and your health insurance, you do have 60 days to have a special enrollment period under the Affordable Care Act. If you had, for example, been Medicare eligible but not taking Medicare because you are still working and lose your job, you can then apply to Medicare during a period after that happens as well. So there are still some options. But what the new law also does is, in the past, you could coordinate your health insurance with your auto insurance, meaning you could say, look, I want my health insurance to pay first and my auto second, so I'd like a discount on my auto insurance for that. Now you could say, I only want to rely on my health insurance.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't want to pay any of those medical benefits under my auto policy. So
drivers also have a decision to make, though, on the liability side of this. And we're already seeing ads for people who are suggesting that maybe it's a good time to start carrying an umbrella policy. You think that's going to become fairly common, or is that going to be pretty unique to those who need that kind of coverage?
That's a different part of the policy. So what an umbrella policy goes is to what we call bodily injury, property damage, which is the portion of the policy that covers you if you are claimed to be at fault in an accident and someone sues you. So those limits have gone up because inflation and the like, right? That hadn't been changed since the 1970s, but also before, although people could sue you for pain and suffering and other things, you knew that anybody you hit had unlimited lifetime medical benefits for their auto accident. And that's not true now. And so you've got to take that into account as well. And one of the ways you may want to do that in talking with your agent is an umbrella policy. Now that depends on what kind of assets do you have to protect? What kind of income do you have? How have you otherwise protected your assets if you do have assets and income? And honestly, your risk tolerance. Are you somebody who would just rather not have any chance and have the highest insurance limits? Or you're somebody who'll say, like, look, the chances of that happening to me are small. I'll deal with it when I can. I'd rather save money now. Yeah. But that's why you're hearing about umbrella policies now. Liability's always been a thing. Now you have an additional item that could potentially be included in the plaintiff's damages.
Well, Anita, that's a pretty good start on understanding the little roadmap that we all need to follow here and figuring out what's right for each one of us. I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So here I am trying to make my decision, and sort of like as if I was stuck on the side of the road, let me call AAA. Dan Schrock Jr. is the Senior Vice President, Sales and Life Insurance Operations at AAA Michigan. Dan, you of course work on the insurance side of what you do at AAA, but you're also part of AAA, which is, I guess, the leading advocate for drivers and car owners in America. What are you telling people when they call and want to figure their way through this?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So this is a very exciting time in the insurance business of Michigan. And the big headline is consumers now have choice. So we're world-class in roadside, but we also are very heavy in Michigan in the insurance business, and we're helping them navigate through it. The first big headline for consumers is they no longer have to choose unlimited lifetime medical benefits. They now have the option, if they have qualified health care, or there's a Medicaid option and a Medicare option, to be able to choose a more affordable coverage, which is very exciting for Michigan consumers.
But, you know, Dan, it's interesting. We think back to people. I think about the example that L. Brooks Patterson, of course, was such an advocate for keeping the system as it was, because he told people time and again, his own experience showed him how quickly you can run through the limits. And I guess the debate will continue to go on now as to whether Michigan had the worst system in the country, because by virtue of the fact that it was the most expensive, or as I think Brooks argued at the time, and others have, that it's the best system because it was kind of gold-plated.
It absolutely was. So if you look at the coverage itself, there's no question, unlimited lifetime personal injury protection is absolutely would be considered the gold standard. But the medical costs really spiraled out of control, and that was being passed on out of necessity to consumers inadvertently, just because the coverage was so thorough. So now consumers have an option. You can absolutely keep the unlimited benefits if you want that best-in-class coverage, but you don't have to keep it. And so from a consumer advocacy standpoint, having choice, we believe, is a good thing.
Dan, it's interesting because one of the things that we learned through the many years of that prior system was the most economically challenged drivers were the ones who their insurance payment either made them break the law, they just weren't going to drive with insurance, or it just cost them an arm and a leg. And I think that some people believe that that will continue here, because those are the people who are least likely to have that great health care insurance that they can rely on so that they're no longer duplicative with their auto insurance, and they're the ones who are still going to have really expensive coverage.
It could be, but there also could be an opening for them. One, I highly recommend, now more than ever, it is important to understand your health care.
Yeah.
And some healthcare companies will cover auto accidents, but not all will. So we strongly recommend consumers get familiar with their health care. But even if they don't have that qualified health care, they would be able to stair step down to the $500,000 option or the $250,000 option. And there also was a rollback on the MCCA fee for the Catastrophic Association. That went from $220 down to $100 a year. So if somebody has 2 cars, which most people do, that ends up being a $240 savings. So there's other things in this law that does make potentially their insurance more affordable for them, so they don't have to make that tough choice.
And the other thing here, Dan, is you really do have to become your own advocate. This is not going to automatically kick in on your insurance. You've got decisions to make, especially if the anniversary of your premium is coming up here soon.
Yep. And if you don't do anything, so you don't have to do anything, but here's just a little bit of a warning. If you don't do anything, you're going to renew at the default limits. And the liability limits went up from a default perspective, and then they'll still have to keep you at the unlimited because you have to opt in and make a conscious choice if you do want to change. Now, what we're doing is we don't want to leave it to chance. So AAA, we have 1.5 million members. We're calling everybody before the renewal, and we're going to do whatever we can do to educate them. One thing your listeners and viewers might be interested in, we set up a very generic, anybody can go to it, AAA.com/reform. You can get all the details there to help prep you before you talk to a licensed professional. This is something that people absolutely should take seriously to make sure you have enough liability for your household with this new change.
Absolutely. Got to leave it there, Dan. Thanks so much for the primer on that. Really important topic, and thanks for being with me today.
You bet. Have a great holiday weekend.
You
Take
too.
care.
We come back, we'll talk about education and coronavirus in Michigan. This is Flashpoint on Local 4.
Always there for you. Come experience the Gowling difference at Gowling Alfa Romeo of Birmingham.
Shop with us online at alfaromeo.birmingham.com for incredible offers from the comfort and safety of your home. Lease a 2020 Alfa Romeo Giulia with all-wheel drive for just $309 a month, or lease the 2020 Alfa Romeo Stelvio with all-wheel drive for $349 a month. Don't wait. Visit alfaromeo.birmingham.com today.
Protecting your home has never been more essential. It's why American Standard Roofing was designated an essential service. We deal with any roofing need quickly and safely. We inspect your roof and do all the paperwork remotely. We also offer financing, so there's no need to put off repairs or replacement. American Standard Roofing. Roofing made simple.
Hey Metro Detroit, we've come so far, fought so hard, sacrificed so much. Let's not lose ground to this virus now. You've heard it all before, and it still applies. Don't take unneeded risks. Michiganders, watch out for each other. Let's stay the course and stay safe.
On Local 4 News at 5 and 6, we fight for you and get answers. Devin, Kimberly, Karen, Jason, Bernie, and Ben. Local news has never been so important.
Kick off this 4th of July weekend with a bang. The Henry Ford, Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and Local 4 are bringing the patriotic spirit straight to your living room with Salute to America, with classic performances from the DSO and a special performance by the Voices' Beth Griffith Manley, hosted by Jason Carr and Tati Amara.
We'll bring you all the magic of these DSO performances
from right here in Greenfield Village.
Salute to America, an encore presentation Monday at 10 a.m.
Welcome back. Let's turn our attention now to schools and the pandemic. Governor Whitmer and her team have now released the guidelines that they would like districts to follow. All the school districts across the state now trying to cobble together their own plans. But I really spent a lot of time this past week wondering how teachers feel about where we're headed. And so let's talk with three of them. Kristen Hubble is a resource room teacher at Southfield Arts and Technology High School, of course in Southfield. Janice Williams on the upper right there teaches kindergarten at Burns Elementary Middle School in the Detroit Public Schools Community District. And at the bottom, you see Mark Sobolewski is a social studies teacher at Slauson Middle School in Ann Arbor. I really appreciate all of you being here. Kristen, let me start with you. Are you eager to be, I want to talk first about how safe you all feel going back into the classroom. Kristen, let me start with you. How eager are you to get back to school?
In terms of I miss my kids so much. I miss my colleagues. Just like little everyday nuances of things that we did. But then I wonder, what is the new normal really going to look like? You know, in my classroom, we have flexible seating, kids sit in bean bags, and the way that the CDC has designed the guidelines, it makes me wonder, will this be the normal that we all remember? And is this really going to be realistic for families that are concerned about members with compromised immune systems? In general, you know, it hit our district really hard. So it's very concerning to think about our families and what they've experienced and the safety level. But I do know, you know, in terms of precautions, our district is taking every precaution to keep us safe. So those are always the things that are reassuring in this unknown territory.
Janice, you have, of course, the education equivalent of herding cats, being in charge of kindergartners. And I really wonder how that's how all of these precautions that they want you to take are going to work with the youngest of our students. But how are you feeling about heading back?
Yeah, I think that it's normal for us all to have still that fear and just uncertainty because this is unprecedented. But I would say for sure for the younger grades, the name of the game is getting them acclimated to what school is. So we're really in a good spot in that we're setting the foundation for students, especially at the K-2 level, but it's never too late. But in kinder, it'll be a lot of games around it, a lot of repetition, but it's not impossible. It's just a little difficult, and I think it'll add definitely to that, but it's not something I don't think we can accomplish.
Are you okay, Janice, with going back and being around all those kids right now?
I am looking at the plans and knowing that it's data-driven and from a point of keeping students safe. And again, that's not without fear, that's not without uncertainty, but I know that our leaders down to us as educators are doing our very best to make sure we aren't entering in a place where we have to be reactive. We're still in a position to be very proactive, and looking at the plans, I think that we can do this in a safe and practical manner.
And Mark, how are you feeling about it now as you've had a few days to think over what this plan looks like?
Same. I'm confident that our school districts are going to have our best interests and the best interests of our students and their families in mind as we plan to reopen. I'm actually kind of excited. I think that, you know, sometimes it takes a long time to get things changed and moving in education. And I'm going to take the opportunity to look at this pandemic as a positive to increasing change in education faster. I think all teachers have wanted to see movement and change in how we do things. And this may not have been the way that we all planned to go about achieving that change, but it's happening. So we need to embrace it and move forward.
Well, let me take this moment to just sort of applaud the enthusiasm that you all have for being back with your kids. That's why I love teachers, because you guys do love what you do and feel very committed to it. Kristen, but tell me a little bit now about from the kids' perspective. You know, we had the leading pediatrician group in the country last week come out to say we got to get kids back to school because this is what they need socially for their own development, their own mental health.
It's really funny because, you know, high school students are very blunt normally. And when there's lots of snow days, they typically share, oh, yay, we can't wait to be out of school. And I have had hundreds of texts and helping students on Zoom and consulting and kids saying, this is not for me. This distance learning, it's just not the same as having an adult be right in front of me to give me the accommodations, to give me the physical strategies. I want to be at school. And then when you think of the things that they've had to miss out on, the sports clubs, the after school activities, the things that, especially, you know, the senior class that just graduated, And now the juniors stepping into seniorhood and wondering, what does this mean for my whole entire school year, not just most of it. So the kids want to come back, but they want to know that they don't have to be afraid to come back. So I think building that sense of community is so important. And in our district personally, we've done a tremendous job doing that through our distance learning plan. And just like both of my cohorts said here, continuing to be a part of that change that we have all been longing for so long. And we can kind of make a good situation out of a bad situation to really activate that.
Janice, it's interesting. You were talking about wanting to, you have such young kids who need to learn what school is all about and learn to love school, but you're also now at the vanguard of teaching this new group of students how maybe we all are going to have to act in public and around each other for the near who knows how long, but this new way of interacting with each other that is kind of a little bit less in people's face and less physical contact. How are you planning on addressing that with such young kids?
I think, again, it's facing it head on, right? It's making it a norm and practice and procedure in everything that we do. So kindergarten would be definitely a grade level that is very hands-on, a lot of tangible practice. And it's not to say that we remove or do away with the things that help students to learn and grasp certain concepts, but it's saying we do those same things and we increase what we talk about in terms of hygiene and wearing a mask. It's not about removing the core and heart of what being an educator is or being a student in a school is, but it's doing it in a very smart and sensible way. And again, looking at my district's plan, looking at the state's plan versus those two plans, it can be done. And there's thought behind how it can be done. It's not just saying, here, try this, but it's here, try this, and here are the steps and tools and money and training to do it. So I think we definitely can accomplish it.
I sure hope so. Mark, one of the guidelines that's been talked about quite a bit already is that from 6th grade through 12th grade, they want kids to be in masks all the time. Most of us who've been wearing masks, we do it in short bursts. We go to the grocery store, we go to a gas station. Asking somebody to wear a mask for hours at a time is a taller order. I'm wondering how reasonable you think that is, especially to ask of young people.
Well, as a social studies teacher, we are constantly talking about the common good. So I plan to address all of the changes that we're going to have to endure as a part of my daily lessons that I would normally teach about the common good and civic duty. It's going to be challenging. I know in the plan that I just saw from our school district, there are opportunities in the different phases for not wearing masks, especially if we're practicing social distancing in classroom situations with a smaller number of students. Students may be able to take off masks and teachers in those situations, but we are going to be requiring students to wear masks in any situation where there's in common areas or passing time where larger bodies of students are going to be mixing together.
Yeah, interesting. Kristen, I'm curious, are you worried about kids coming back being ready to move on to the next grade given the way things went in the last 2 to 3 months of the school year?
I will say that, because we had a plan that was adaptable, flexible, and it was very simple to deliver, we were able to determine anyway in our department being of the support service, where are kids at? We did distance learning plans and each case manager reached out personally to every family so that we could also develop reintegration plans to know where those students were. That being said, we had developed 3 tiers, one being the foundational saying we just need to focus on basic needs. The second being the supplemental where we're actually supplementing the gaps in the instruction. And then the third being that new learning because they are ready to learn on. I do know that there are many students who were working in the family because of a death or the parent was unemployed. We had several scenarios of hardship in our district. So in that way, I do expect there to be learning gaps. But knowing that there was a pandemic and knowing that we do have this core data on our students, I think will be very helpful to design differentiated plans to serve everybody in our community.
Yeah, I got to leave it there, gang. I would feel great if my kids were in any of your hands. You've all been really, really thoughtful about this. I so appreciate it. I love, Mark, the idea of of folding that into the lesson. That is part of today, is how we need to let other people rely on us and rely on them for pretty good civic behavior. Thanks, you guys, and good luck in the school year. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. We'll take a quick break and wrap things up right after this.
There's a reason we have more cars, more brands, and more selection than any other dealer in Michigan. The reason is you. With 43 Michigan locations and 34 different brands, the Suburban Collection has more ways to make your purchase, service, and overall automotive experience the best in Michigan. From your first car to your dream car, and everything in between. Go to drivesuburban.com and get your car today.
Mental health affects all of us in one way or another, whether it's substance abuse, suicidal thoughts, or disability-related issues. But with the right prevention, treatment, and support, recovery is possible. If you or someone you know is struggling with isolation, hopelessness, or just needs a listening ear, there is hope and there is help. Get connected with a trained mental health professional when you call the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. We're here for you 24/7, here to talk, here to help.
Okay, class. 3 times 3 is 9! How many months since your last checkup?
9.
Hey, how many miles are you guys fixing? 9.
How many questions are on the 2020 census?
9?
Yep. Every person counted by the census means more funding for things like education, healthcare, road repairs, and more.
Who are you?
Fill out the 2020 census today. 9 questions, 10 years of benefits.
From the moment you wake up to the moment your day ends.
Local news has never been more important.
Throughout this crisis, Local 4 News Today and Click on Detroit have kept you informed with constant reports from the front line, updates from our own Dr. Frank McGeorge, briefings from medical experts, and some good news, too.
Happy birthday to you. We'll keep on giving you what you need.
Stay with Local 4 News Today and Click on Detroit for the moments that matter.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for being here. Enjoy what is left of your holiday weekend. Meet the Press is coming your way next. Have a great week. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time for Flashpoint.